love learning zone. You get the education for all. Gyanwani, Gyanwani, education at your doorstep. Zonli Aham Gyanwani.
I am Professor Vibhuti Patel, Head of the Department of Economics in Mumbai from SNDT Women's University. The second module in this gender economics is on demographic aspects of women that focuses on age structure, mortality rate and sex ratio, causes for declining sex ratio, and also fertility rates in less developing countries with special reference to India, theories and measurement of fertility and its control, gender and population control policy with respect to India, reproductive rights of women, women in nutrition, women in health, women in education, economic status of women, and work participation rate of women. The main objective of this lesson is to explain to students the demographic features of women in India, describe the health, educational and work profile of women. You all must have seen 2011 census. India's population has touched a mark over 122 crores. We have a sex ratio of overall sex ratio of our country that is 940 women for 1,000 men. Declining child sex ratio has been a serious problem. India has touched the lowest, that means 914 girls for 1,000 boys. Maharashtra and Gujarat, otherwise economically developed states, have also extremely adverse child sex ratio. Maharashtra's child sex ratio, according to 2011 census, has been 883 girls for 1,000 boys. That means there is a massive deficit of girls. This phenomenon is known as missing girls. When it comes to literacy rate, India has been achieving more and more marks in literacy for both male and female literacy, but still the gender gap in literacy is high. The overall male literacy in our country is 82%, while for women it is 65%. That means still 1/3 of Indian women, they can't even read or write their names. So this is a scenario about literacy. So you can imagine, as you go higher and up in the ladder of education, their dropout rate is much higher. Only 8% of Indian women are able to get university education. If we see the fertility rate, because TFR is a very important concept, what is total fertility rate? Total fertility rate is how many children an average Indian woman produces. Now there are 8 states in India: Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, West Bengal, Delhi, Karnataka and Maharashtra. They have touched below stabilization. That means these states have a total fertility rate of less than 2.1, because for population stabilization you need 2.1 TFR, while these states have less than 2.1. That means they have reached below stabilization. But the most important fact that you need to know is who has paid the price of less TFR. It is the girl child. Parents are agreeing to have 1 child or 2 child, but nobody wants daughter. That means even in all these states, we have seen the child sex ratio has been very adverse. Kerala, to be always number 1 in Human Development Index, even in this state, except for urban Kasaragod, in all other districts of Kerala, you have child sex ratio has dwindled. Kerala's TFR is 1.7. What does it signify? That 2/3 of women in Kerala have only 1 child, and 1/3 of Kerala's women have 2 children. But who is this 1 child? That 1 child is boy. So that we have to, very important. So now we have a Prenatal and Preconception Diagnostic Techniques Act that has to be implemented very vigorously and see to it that discriminatory abortion of girls don't take place. Another important aspect in demography is infant mortality rate. India has signed the Millennium Development Goals document. The Millennium Development Goals, as you know, they have a very strong bearing for the demographic studies, because goal 1 talks about eradication of hunger and poverty, goal 2 talks about universalization of literacy, goal 3 is about empowerment of women, goal 4 believes in committed to reduction in infant mortality rate, goal 5 talks about fight against dengue, tuberculosis, HIV, AIDS and other contagious diseases, goal 6 talks about improving maternal health, goal 7 is about environment and sustainable development, and goal 8 talks about responsibility of the rich nations to attain these 7 goals in the poor countries. Now, India has been severely criticized for extremely high infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate. The currently IMR of infant mortality rate of India is 30 children die for every 1,000 live births of children, which is very, very high. It's only Kerala where you have a 12, IMR is 12. 12 children die out of 100 live births. Even our neighboring countries like Sri Lanka has a lower IMR. And India, when it talks about double-digit growth or India shining and the kind of economic prosperity that India has gained, having such a high infant mortality rate has made India very, very target of development scholars in the international fora. Another very important and distressing reality is that of maternal mortality rate. Maternal mortality in India is extreme. It has gone down, say from 450, it has gone to 375. Now currently it shows 200 women die, pregnant women die, out of 1 lakh women of the reproductive age group. But this number is quite high. It is really very high. India needs to do, and that's why government has come up with a flagship scheme called Janani Suraksha Yojana. Must be seeing it on community radio and television. And the reasons for high maternal mortality are unsafe abortion or breech pregnancy or very low hemoglobin level, because 85% of Indian women are anemic. Now all these reasons are avoidable. If we make development intervention, if we take strong public health measure, maternal mortality can be drastically reduced, and there is no reason for India to have such a high maternal mortality. That has been the criticism made by international scholars. Now, deficit of women in the population is a serious concern in demography of gender. Social discrimination against women results in systematic neglect of women's health from womb to tomb. Female infanticide and female feticide are widely practiced in Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and also the new rage of ultrasound has brought in, say, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra. Their ultrasound also is a major reason for sex-selective abortion. As per 2011 census, we saw there are 940 women for 1,000 men. That means there is a slight improvement in the overall sex ratio, but that is mainly because the condition of women, survival chances of women in the age group of 45 plus has improved. There are elderly women have a better chances for survival. That is what has been shown by age-wise analysis of sex ratio. Now, when it comes to child sex ratio, the situation is deplorable. Even in Kerala, in a 0 to 6 age group, you have a deficit of girls in the population, and the major reason for declining child sex ratio, there are social reasons for fear of dowry, murder, or safety of women and girls in the society. So parents would, if they have a small family, they would like to have that family of only boys. One boy, people are happy. After that a girl is born, they say okay, we'll tolerate. But if there is a first girl, couples will definitely go for sex selective abortion because they would not want second girl. 2 boys is a situation, but family with 2 girls, that is a rarity. So it is in this kind of situation that you have a skewed sex ratio. Now coming to the question of maternal deaths. All the studies of Sample Registrar General's office have shown that the major reasons for which Indian women are dying, one is a hemorrhage at the time of delivery, or abortion, unsafe abortion, infection related to abortion or delivery, obstructed labor and eclampsia, blood pressure during pregnancy. And there are many other direct causes. For example, women who are working in the rice field, or women who are traveling in overcrowded trains and buses for their work, they also tend to have many abortions and miscarriages. Indirect cause for maternal deaths are anemia. Anemia is a major killer. 1/5 of Indian pregnant women, they die due to anemia. 20.3% women die due to anemia. So, as girls in the age group of say 5 years, women face neglect of medical care and education. They face sexual abuse and physical violence. As adolescents and adult women in reproductive age group, they face early marriage. You have a phenomena called child mothers. We have the girl herself is a child and she has delivered a baby girl. Early pregnancy, sexual violence, domestic violence, dowry harassment, infertility. If they fail to produce son, then desertion and also witch hunting. So this is the kind of psychological, emotional, physical violence and neglect that women face that also results into adverse sex ratio in reproductive age group. The end result is a very high maternal mortality. Causes of maternal deaths in our country, they have been examined very seriously in the today's context of Millennium Development Goal. If we see the interstate comparison, we realize that the states with very high maternal mortality, they are say Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Orissa, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. You have a very, very high maternal mortality, and the government has come up with a whole program of 300 blocks in which health intervention is required by the state government. Now, coming to this issue of declining sex ratio, we see that the reasons for declining sex ratio, anthropologists, sociologists, economists, demographers, all are now focusing on it. Various state governments have come up with the implementation for PCPNDT Act. We have a state appropriate authority and vigilance committee. Maharashtra has introduced Kolhapur model in which each and every pregnancy is monitored so that girls. Earlier understanding of sex selective abortion, that it was the disease of the development or disease of prosperity, is also proved wrong. Now the location of sex selective abortions are shifting to district places in the villages in Maharashtra. For example, the economically weakest region called Marathwad, Parbhani, Bid, these are the areas where sonography centers have come up, and it has posed the major challenge. That means we need a social action and community action and community policing for stopping this kind of menace. Now, to stop female infanticide in Tamil Nadu, government introduced Cradle Baby scheme. The parents who did not want to look after their daughters, they were free to leave their children in cradles placed in women's organization or at the district commissioner's office. There are several affirmative actions different state governments have taken in terms of for incentivizing girls, for conditional cash transfer. So when a girl is born, government gives the bond of 10,000 rupees. All important milestones of this girl's development, her health, whether she is given all the triple injections, whether all vaccination is done for that girl, is she allowed to go to school, hasn't she dropped out from primary school, so all the milestones are measured, and at the age of 21, this girl is given 1 lakh rupees. So this kind of conditional cash transfer schemes have been introduced in several state governments so that parents don't see this girl as a burden, but there is an incentive for this girl. So that is a state action, but the mindset of the people also needs to be changed, and here the role of gender economics and women's studies, it is very, very important in changing this mindset through education and public education and also formal education system. Now, when it comes to the health concerns of women, we need to understand the vicious cycle which is generates a vicious cycle of poverty, which generates vicious cycle of ill health. So ill health needs to be located also in the context of lifestyle and also deprivation that women have. For mothers, poverty leads to low intake of food and nutrition, which results in undernutrition, repeated insults from nutrition-related diseases and infection. That means the morbidity level also goes up. Your ability to withstand illnesses is also low because of high morbidity. It affects them in terms of stunted development and growth. Hence, they have a small body size as adults, which impairs productivity because we have a small body. Your ability to work in the economy, your capacity, earning capacity also reduces. The end result is poverty. For a girl child, poverty gives only 3 options. For example, child labor, child marriage, child prostitution. Poverty coupled with control over women's sexuality, fertility and labor is manifested in a neglect and discrimination of a girl child. She remains malnourished. She has to be the victim of early marriage. Parents see her as a burden. After marriage, there is a constant pressure to produce a boy child. She is impoverished mother who produces low birth weight babies. It is called LBW phenomena. If the baby is female, she faces discrimination. She has to repeated pregnancy till she delivers a baby boy. And as a result, you see very high maternal mortality or maternal deaths in our country. Miserable profile of reproductive health of Indian women is due to, say, octopus-like clutches of early marriage, pregnancy, high prevalence of reproductive tract infection, ignorance, high infant mortality rate, no control over fertility and sexuality, anemia, no control over contraception, and repeated pregnancies. As per UNICEF, there were nearly more than 400 maternal deaths among 1 lakh births in India in the reproductive age group. Nutritional needs of lactating mothers, they demand urgent attention, and now in Integrated Child Development Program, Janani Suraksha Yojana, some of these aspects are taken care of. When we talk about women's health in the demography, it's very important to understand violence. Violence had never been in the mainstream discourse in academia, but violence and health issues of women over the life cycle is a very important concern. As unborn children, women face covert violence in terms of sex selection and overt violence in terms of female feticide after the use of amniocentesis, chorion villus biopsy, sonography, imaging techniques, in vitro fertilization. Now we have assisted reproduction technologies also. Even in these new reproductive technologies, there is no concern or no sensitivity towards bodily integrity of women, and especially poor women. Doctors are advertising aggressively, better 500 now than 5,000 later, or better 5,000 now and 5 lakhs later. That means you invest in this sex selective test, spend 5,000 rupees so that later on you don't have to pay 5 lakhs rupees as dowry. These are the kind of aggressive propaganda made by diagnostic centers and doctors, which need to be curbed through legal action. We already have a law. The problem is of implementing the law. Thank you.